Imagine a world where the shadows of the Australian bush are finally reclaimed by a creature that has been missing for over 3,000 years. For 3 millennia, the mainland of Australia was a place where the iconic, bone-crushing growl of the Tasmanian devil was nothing more than a faint echo in the fossil record. But recently, a bold and somewhat controversial project saw the release of 150 of these fierce little marsupials back onto the mainland. This wasn't just a small experiment. It was a full-scale biological intervention. Experts around the globe predicted a variety of outcomes. Some feared the devils would struggle to adapt, others thought they might disrupt local farmers, and many believed they would simply vanish into the vastness of the Australian wild. But what actually happened once those paws hit the mainland soil has completely defied every scientific prediction on the books. We aren't just seeing these animals survive. We are witnessing a complete restructuring of the Australian environment that is leaving researchers in a state of absolute awe. Today, we are going deep into the heart of the devil comeback to see how 150 small carnivores are doing the impossible and why the results of this release are changing everything we thought we knew about nature's ability to heal itself. To truly understand why this release was such a massive gamble, you have to realize that the mainland of Australia has been in a bit of an environmental freefall for a long time. Since the disappearance of the Tasmanian devil and the thylacine from the mainland, the ecosystem has been dominated by invasive predators, specifically the red fox and the feral cat. These two species have caused more trouble for native Australian wildlife than almost anything else in history. They have hunted dozens of small mammal species into the history books. For decades, the best experts in the world tried everything to control these invaders: traps, fences, and high-tech sensors. But nothing worked. The foxes and cats were just too smart and too numerous. That is when a group of visionary conservationists had a radical idea. Instead of humans trying to manage the foxes, why not bring back the animal that used to keep them in check? Why not bring back the devil? When the first crates were opened in the Barrington Top Sanctuary, a massive, wild area of New South Wales, the atmosphere was electric. These 150 devils weren't just animals. They were an ecological army being dropped into a war zone. The experts were incredibly nervous. Tasmanian devils are famously specialized for the colder, wetter climate of the island of Tasmania. Many worried that the drier, hotter conditions of the mainland would be too much for them. But the devils had other plans. Within the first few months, the trackers showed something fascinating. The devils didn't just survive the transition, they flourished. They began to explore the rugged terrain with a vigor that suggested their ancestral memory of the mainland was still very much alive. But the shocker came when the scientists started looking at what was happening to the foxes and cats. This is where the results truly defied the experts. Many biologists assumed the devils would compete with the foxes for food, perhaps leading to a slow decline in fox numbers over many years. But the devil effect was almost instantaneous. You see, Tasmanian devils are the world's largest carnivorous marsupials, and they have a presence that is purely terrifying to a fox. Devils are scavengers and hunters with one of the most powerful bite forces in the animal kingdom for their size. They are also incredibly noisy when they eat. This combination of muscle and noise created an immediate no-go zone for the red foxes. The foxes, which had ruled the mainland for a century, suddenly found themselves living next to a neighbor that didn't just hunt for food but reclaimed the very ground it stood on. The devils began to monopolize the carcasses of fallen animals. In the past, a fox could spend all night leisurely eating a fallen kangaroo. Now the devils arrive in a whirlwind of growls and snapping jaws, leaving nothing behind, not even the bones. This resource competition was so intense that the foxes simply started leaving the areas where the devils were active. This displacement was much faster and more effective than any human-led trapping program in history. By standing their ground, 150 devils did what millions of dollars of government funding couldn't. They pushed back the invasive predators. With the foxes being pushed out, the second-level shock happened. The native small mammals, the ones that had been on the edge of vanishing, began to stage a massive comeback. Creatures like the eastern quoll, the potoroo, and the bandicoot suddenly had room to breathe. Without a fox around every corner, these small marsupials started breeding at rates the experts hadn't seen in decades. It was a top-down miracle. By reintroducing one predator at the top of the chain, the middle management predators were kept in line, which allowed the bottom of the chain to explode with life. This was the trophic cascade in action, and it was working perfectly. But there was another prediction that the devils completely defied. Many experts were worried about the breeding hurdle. They thought that because the mainland environment was so different, the devils might not feel at home enough to start families. Some scientists predicted it could take 5 to 10 years before we saw mainland-born devil joeys. They were wrong. Less than a year into the project, rangers found the first tiny pink joeys in the pouches of the mainland females. This was a historic moment. The first time in 3,000 years that Tasmanian devils had successfully reproduced in the wild on the mainland. It proved that the mainland wasn't just a holding pen for them. It was their rightful home. The devils also brought a unique cleaning service to the Australian bush. Because they are the ultimate scavengers, they eat everything. They clear away fallen animals that would otherwise sit and rot, attracting flies and spreading diseases. This sanitation role is something that the Australian mainland has been missing for 3 millennia. By cleaning up the landscape, the devils are actually making the environment healthier for cattle and sheep on neighboring farms. Farmers who were initially skeptical of the project are now seeing the benefits. The devils don't bother the livestock. They just clean up the mess left behind by nature. It's a perfect partnership that nobody saw coming. Let's talk about the behavioral evolution of these 150 pioneers. Scientists noticed that the mainland devils started acting differently than their Tasmanian cousins. On the island of Tasmania, devils are often confined by the geography and the presence of human roads. But on the vast mainland, they have room to roam. The mainland devils have become more athletic. They are covering more ground, climbing higher into the mountains, and showing a level of curiosity that suggests they are evolving in real time. They aren't just Tasmanian devils anymore. They are becoming mainland devils. They are rediscovering niches that have been empty since the time of the pyramids. The project also had a massive impact on the fire resilience of the forest. This is one of the most insane results that even the best ecologists didn't fully predict. Because the devils have helped the small mammals return, the leaf litter on the forest floor is being managed differently. Small marsupials like the potoroo spend their lives digging in the dirt for fungi and tubers. This constant turning of the soil helps break down dry leaves and twigs much faster. This reduces the amount of fuel on the ground. By helping the diggers return, the devils are indirectly helping to protect the forest from intense bushfires. It is an incredible example of how every animal, no matter how small, plays a role in the safety of the entire continent. The technology used to monitor this defiant success is also world-class. Each of the 150 devils is part of a high-tech smart network. Using satellite collars and trail cameras, researchers can watch the recovery in high definition. They can see a devil arguing with a feral cat over a meal, and they can watch as the cat eventually decides it's not worth the fight and retreats. This data is providing a masterclass in wildlife behavior. It's teaching us that nature isn't just about who eats who, it's about who manages who. The presence of the devil creates a rule of law in the bush that had been missing for too long. But why did it take 3,000 years to realize we needed them back? For a long time, people thought the dingo, the Australian wild dog, had replaced the devil's role. But dingoes are apex predators. They hunt large prey. They don't have the same specialty for cleaning and managing the undergrowth that the devil has. The two animals actually used to live side by side. The experts finally realized that the dingo alone wasn't enough to keep the mainland healthy. You need the heavy lifters and the cleanup crew working together. With the devils back, that partnership is being restored. The emotional impact of this project on the Australian people is something you can't put into a scientific report. The Tasmanian devil is a national icon, but for the longest time, it was an icon of tragedy due to a terrible facial tumor disease that has been devastating the island population. By bringing them to the mainland, conservationists have created an insurance population. These 150 devils are safe from the disease that has troubled their cousins out on the island. They are the Noah's Ark for their species. Seeing them thrive on the mainland gives everyone hope that we can save this incredible animal from the brink of disappearing forever. One of the most surprising defiance of expert opinion involved the interaction with humans. There were fears that devils might wander into suburban backyards or become a nuisance, but the devils have shown a remarkable ability to stay wild. They are secretive, nocturnal, and naturally avoid human commotion. They aren't looking for our food. They are looking for the natural resources of the bush. This has made the reintroduction one of the smoothest in history. It shows that we can live alongside these fierce creatures without any drama. They just want to do their job and be left alone. As we look toward the future, The plan is to release even more devils across different parts of the mainland. The goal is to establish strongholds of devils in every state where they once lived. Imagine a future where the red fox is a rarity, and the native wildlife of Australia is once again the dominant force in the landscape. That is the dream that these 150 devils are turning into a reality. They are the pioneers of a new Australia, one that is rewilded and resilient. The experts who were once skeptical are now some of the project's biggest supporters. They have seen the data, and they have seen the results with their own eyes. They have watched as the empty bush filled back up with the sounds of a healthy ecosystem. They have seen the fox-free zones expand and the native species flourish. It is a reminder that while science is essential, nature often has its own way of doing things that we can't always predict. Sometimes, you just have to trust the biology of the animal and let it do what it has been doing for millions of years. The Tasmanian devil is a survivor. It survived the arrival of the dingo, it survived the changing climate of the ancient world, and now, it is surviving the modern challenges of the Australian mainland. Every growl, every bite, and every new joey born in the Barrington Tops is a victory for conservation. It's a story of a comeback that was supposed to be impossible, led by a creature that everyone thought was a lost cause on the mainland. The lesson here is profound. It tells us that our landscapes are not broken beyond repair. They are just missing pieces. If we have the courage to put those pieces back, the results will defy our expectations every single time. The result of the Australian devil release isn't just about a few animals. It's about the rebirth of a continent's soul. It's about restoring the balance and clearing the way for a future where the wild stays wild. So, the next time you hear about a bold nature project that seems too risky or too crazy, think about the 150 devils. Think about how they took on the foxes, cleaned up the forest, protected the bush from fire, and started families in a place their ancestors hadn't seen for 3,000 years. They didn't just meet the experts' expectations. They shattered them. And in doing so, they gave us all a reason to believe that the best days of the natural world are still ahead of us. The mainland of Australia is no longer haunted by the ghosts of the past. It is being protected by the guardians of the present. The Tasmanian devil is back, and it is here to stay. And if the last year has taught us anything, it's that when you release a devil into the wild, you should expect the unexpected. Because nature is much smarter, much faster, and much more defiant than we ever imagined. The bush is alive, the growls have returned, and the story of the mainland devil is just beginning. Stay tuned, because this is the most exciting biological reboot on the planet, and it is working better than anyone ever dreamed. As the project expands to even more locations, we are beginning to see a network of healthy ecosystems forming. It's like a patchwork quilt of restoration being laid over the continent. Each new release of devils brings another layer of protection to the native wildlife. We are seeing a collateral benefit for birds, reptiles, and even the quality of the soil itself. The devils are not just a species, they are a service. A 24/7 environmental management team that doesn't take holidays and doesn't ask for a paycheck. This is the beauty of rewilding. It reminds us that we don't always have to be the ones fixing everything. Sometimes, the best thing we can do is step back and let the experts of the wild, the animals themselves, take the lead. The 150 devils have proven that they are more than capable of handling the job. They have turned a ghost town into a bustling metropolis of native life. The Australian public is now fully behind the project, with people volunteering to help monitor the animals and schools teaching the story of the mainland return. The Tasmanian devil has moved from being a symbol of loss to being a symbol of victory. It's a transformation that mirrors the transformation of the forest itself. We are looking at a future where our children won't just see devils in a zoo or on a map of Tasmania. They will see them as a natural part of the Australian landscape, right where they belong. The defiance of the experts is the best part of this story. It's a happy ending for science because it shows that nature is even more resilient than our most optimistic models predicted. It gives us a template for how to save other species and how to restore other broken habitats around the world. From the return of the wolves in Yellowstone to the return of the devils in Australia, the message is the same. Bring them back, and they will do the rest. The sun is coming up over the Barrington Tops, and a young devil joey is peeking out of its mother's pouch for the first time. It is smelling the mainland air, seeing the mainland trees, and preparing for a life in a world that its species hasn't known for aeons. That little joey is the living, breathing proof that the experts were wrong. And thank goodness they were. The result is in, And it's better than we ever could have hoped. The Australian bush is finally whole again, and the devil is in the details of its recovery. As we continue to watch this project grow, let's remember the courage it took to open those crates for the first time. Let's remember the 150 pioneers who paved the way. And let's remember that in the world of nature, the shocking and the insane are often just the signs of life returning to where it was always meant to be. The journey is far from over, but the direction is clear. The devils have reclaimed the mainland, and the result is a masterpiece of modern conservation. Stay curious, stay hopeful, and keep an eye on the shadows, because the devils are back, and they are doing magnificent things.